Seeing no one, okay. Now we would like to open the public comment period. I would like to invite members of the public to address the library board. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes, speaking once on both on and off agenda items. All questions should be directed through the presiding officer, and this is your time to speak uninterrupted. If you are in attendance, please fill out a speaker card and submit it to the recording admin before the close of the public comment period. Once recognized, speakers should advance to the podium, state your name and subject matter you wish to discuss. If you're participating via Zoom, select the raise hand icon in Zoom before the close of the public comment period. Once recognized, you will be unmuted, state your name and the subject matter you wish to discuss. Now I'm inviting those who are in attendance to submit public cards.
Just to review, we've received no requests via the public comment email to provide public comment. I don't know that we have anybody Zoom participants that have raised hands. We do have one person that is ready to submit a public comment card. You can go ahead and just step up to the podium and state your name. It'd be great.
Forgive me for the delay. I'm Maggie Laura, and I'm the Executive Director for the Glendora Public Library Friends Foundation. We're honored to serve this community and to fundraise on behalf of the library. We're passionate about the work that the library does, and I'm proud to represent more than 20 volunteers who work on your behalf. We're passionate about serving this community, supporting our library through fundraising events, grants, and relationships with local businesses. The success of our efforts have only been accomplished in partnership with Library Director Janet Stone and her amazing library staff, city leadership, and the continued support of each of you. Working together for the good of Glendora is what makes this community so special and for what we are especially proud. And tonight, we want to reiterate our commitment of $428,000 for this next fiscal year. We look forward to working with each of you and supporting the library's efforts in inspiring new ideas and connecting them to the world of information and imagination. We thank you for your time and your support of our efforts. Thank you.
Thank you, Maggie. We appreciate you and the rest of the Friends Foundation so much. Without you guys, we definitely would not be able to do anything that we do here at the library.
So at this time, we have no further requests to give public comment.
Okay. So now on to, I would like to close the public comment period. And now on to board statement reports. Do any trustees have any reports or announcements? Yes, Stephen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Glendora Community Coordinating Council is the 5th such council in the state of California and was established some 90 years ago in 1932 to serve as a connecting link of the various organizations and entities in our area. The Glendora Public Library was amongst the founding members and is a critical ally of the Coordinating Council, having had outstanding representation by Library Director Janet Stone. A major initiative of the Coordinating Council is a Holiday Baskets program, which for more than 60 years has worked with concern of those who experience food scarcity in advance of Thanksgiving and the Christmas holidays. Approximately 250 households are served. The campaign runs from September until October 31st. I wish for the trustee board and for the community to know the food the Glendora Public Library has collected thus far in the campaign has been absolutely extraordinary. From firsthand knowledge, I have to make 2 stops a week at the Glendora Public Library to alleviate office space of the overflowing abundance of generosity from our patrons. I am proud of and congratulate the Glendora Public Library and our library community in being responsive to those who experience hunger, not only during this food drive, but throughout the year as well. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. It's very nice to know that our staff and our community are addressing the problems of food insecurity that we have here in the community. Does anyone else have any announcements or reports?
I have a little report. I went, I think it was last week, to the farewell party for Brandy for the Friends Foundation. So I'll miss Brandy and all of her hard work, and I look forward to meeting a new friendly face at the Friends. So.
Yeah, Brandy will certainly be missed. I'm going to miss her emceeing all of the events. Anything else that anyone would like to share? Okay, moving on to the next item. So special items, recognition of the National Friends of Libraries Week.
At number 1, Director, Staff Liaison, Attorney
Mhm.
Statement.
Agenda item number 1, reports of library director and library divisions. Janet Stowe.
Thank you very much. And thank you for the kind words from you and the votes of confidence. And I just want to acknowledge that the library is the work of many, many teams. And I'm, honored to, as already mentioned, to be, helping the staff and also all of our community partners serve Glendora. So, and also the Friends Foundation, which we'll be talking again about in a minute. So anyway, just wanted to say thank you for all of your support. As usual, we have a written report in your packet. It is available to the public online. And so what I have for you tonight are just a few additions sort of since we went to press. First of all, I would like to share that this week is the California Great Shakeout. I've heard, I did not verify this, that it's the largest earthquake drill in existence. and it is this Thursday, October 20th, and the entire city of Glendora organization will be participating, including the library. So, join us on the 20th, and you'll get a little experience of how to practice for an earthquake. I wanted to share here in election season that the California State Library sent out a message, actually has sent out several in recent days, and I'll just read you part of it. It says, to support your staff and make voting information more easily accessible to the communities you serve, the State Library is working with Cal Matters, a nonprofit, nonpartisan news organization to provide in-depth and ongoing information about issues and events of importance to California. Since it is that season, I want to focus on the engaging election guide with nonpartisan information in English and Spanish that Cal Matters journalists have assembled. So we, in addition to other nonpartisan voting information we have traditionally provided, we are adding this to our tool belt for the community this year. And also we are going to be looking at to see if we can deploy what we call our Adaptable Resource Center, which is a computer that is separate from the other public computers that we can dedicate to seasonal activities. And we are going to be seeing if we can adapt that as a voter information center very soon. Hopefully that would include not only that information from the state library, but also other easy voter guides and also the official voter information booklets from the state and county and so forth. So just wanted to share that with you. Excuse me. In terms of sort of things technology and things computer, I wanted to make sure this is in the written report, but I just wanted to make sure to give a shout out to management analyst Elke Cathell, because the library document station project that you see mentioned comparatively briefly in our report, is actually a multi-year project, largely because of COVID, but for several reasons. Lots of moving pieces, lots of different parties that had to coordinate, from vendors to IT to library staff. And Elke was sort of our key point person for that. So I just wanted to say thank you, Elke, for making sure that sort of just kept on the radar for the last couple of years when we weren't able to actually bring anybody in to install it. And it's great to see it up and running. Thank you. Let's see. So on the statistics summary front, I just wanted to mention a few things about that part of the packet. There's a single sheet in there as usual. We mentioned the Wi-Fi users last month that we have verified those numbers, and we're not quite sure whether they have dropped or whether that was just a spike. That was which one is the anomaly, but we've verified them and we'll just keep our eyes on those. Also, I wanted to mention that the requests for information I noticed, and also the volunteer match statistics have done an interesting swap. So you'll see a drop this month, but last month those statistics were exactly the opposite. In other words, we had almost exactly the same increase last month over last year as we saw decrease this year. So I think there is some little sort of seasonal variation happening there. But again, we'll keep an eye on those. And finally, I wanted to mention about the virtual attendance. We are actually not able, you may have noticed that we're offering a lot of expert speaker events, but we at this point do not have the ability to capture attendance figures for those. So it says 0, despite the fact that we are offering virtual events. So just a few clarifications about that. And finally, if I can find my notes. I did want to mention that the community survey that the city does every 2 to 3 years was presented to City Council last week. And right after our packet was completed. And it is available online on the city's website. And I just wanted to, point out that the library was called out as being both in the conclusion and in some of the other commentary as being the service with the highest level of satisfaction among the services listed by the city in that survey. So there's some other data that we will be sharing with you, but it is available on the website if you want to take a look at the whole report. And also the True North Research, their presentation is available there as well. And I think those are all my additions for the moment. I am happy to answer any questions, should you have any.
Does anybody have any questions or comments? No? Erica? No. No? Okay. Well, I think it's a huge achievement for the library to be recognized for having the highest satisfaction within the community. That's something to be really proud of. I would like to give a shout out to the Battle of the Books winners, the team All for One, and also Rebecca for emceeing that for the first time. So props to her for that. And I did have one question for Janet. In the report, you said that, okay, so there's reviews talking about the Bidwell Forum and the expansion project. Are there any updates on that, or will we be seeing any updates for that?
I believe actually we are scheduled to have an update come to you next month. It was scheduled for earlier this year, but those have now been rescheduled for the boards and commissions in the month of November.
Got it.
So yeah, you'll have a formal update then.
Perfect. Thank you. I think that's all the questions that I have. Okay. Next item. So now we're on to special items, recognition of National Friends of Libraries Week. Library Director Stone.
Thank you very much. So what does it say when a community tells you that they have been able to gain access to information and learn more, engage more with their local community, build leadership skills based on the activities they've been able to volunteer through, and be enriched and educated. I mean, those are some pretty great things. And those are just some of the answers that we have gotten to a survey, so actually to a handful of surveys that we launched recently in honor of Friends of Libraries Week. So there's a National Friends of Libraries Week this week, which we are here to acknowledge right now. And then I understand that the City Council is planning a proclamation on this coming Tuesday I'm sorry, a week from Tuesday to sort of mark a local Friends of Libraries Week. And we have a few surveys out there. They're very quick ways for our public to send a little bit of love to the Friends Foundation. There's one that for people who attend our events and programs, one for folks who read the popular books that the Friends Foundation helps finance, one for our electronic resources users, and a general one. It's just a few quick questions and a chance for you to share with us what the foundation and the library have made possible. And those are just a few examples. We will be running this survey for a while, at least through next week, all of them. So, so take a look if you check out any new books from the library, if you use our electronic resources, if you come to our programs, keep an eye out for that QR code, give it a scan, and send a little love to the Friends Foundation, because as you've already heard, you know, over $400,000. And there's a lot of opportunities that are made available to the public because of the commitment of that agency and the volunteers that support it and the staff. So, so cheers to the Friends Foundation. I'm so glad you're here, Maggie, to have, you know, shared a little bit. And I don't know if you'd like to come back up and say anything else, but you'd be welcome to if you would like. You may have said your piece if
Just to reiterate, just the value of the partnership that we share with the city. And we love dreaming big. And so this year we are dreaming big in support of the library's proposals. And that's why we've agreed to the commitment of more than 428,000. We see that in their big dreams, there's big opportunities for the community to expand their view of the world, new adventures, and the possibilities. And so we love the opportunity to dream with the library, but we can't do it alone. And so we just encourage everyone to support the library in whatever way they can, but more importantly, to come and visit and explore, whether it's online, digitally, or in person. There's an array of opportunities for you to explore your passions and your dreams. And so we just encourage, especially this year, that we're looking to dream big. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Does anybody have any comments or questions about special item? No? Well, thank you again, Maggie, and thank you to the rest of the volunteers to the Friends Foundation. We really appreciate all of them. And yes, okay, on to the next item, consent calendar. Items on the consent calendar will be enacted by one motion without individual discussion unless a board member has requested it to be removed for separate discussion. Does anyone wish to pull or comment on any of the consent calendar items? No? Okay, do I have a motion?
Yes, I would like to make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
Thank you. Is there a second? You can use the voting client or you can.
I would like to second.
Thank you. That,
Madam Chair,
Yes,
I have a question.
yes.
I missed a last meeting, so I abstained from the minutes. Is that correct?
yes,
No,
we
for-
can note that in the minutes.
Thank you, ma'am.
So the motion is from Vice President Landman, a second from Trustee Johnson. I'm going to take a roll call vote. Trustee Flowers,
Abstention.
thank you. And Trustee Johnson,
Aye.
Trustee Tolan is absent, Vice President Landman,
Aye.
and President Chu.
Aye.
And that passes 3-0. Thank you.
Okay, so there's no unfinished business items for today, so we'll be moving on to new business items. Did I skip?
Board
one?
agenda items number 6.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Board agenda items, agenda item number 6, discussion of the 50th anniversary of the current facility of the Glendora Public Library requested by Landman and Chu. Janet?
Thank you. Welcome back to this item. Next slide, please. So as you remember, February 2022 marked the 50th anniversary of our location at 140 South Glendora. And we are continuing that celebration. We have some goals, specifically, in addition to just the need to celebrate, we have some specific goals to that celebration. Among others, they include learning about library projects to capture, preserve, and share the community's own resources of local history. Next slide, please. And reconnecting with community members, fellow volunteers, and staff that enrich their world of ideas over the half century. So there's just a couple of things that we're hoping the community will get out of our celebrations this year. There are several of them here. We've been talking about them for many months now. Next slide, please. As we have approached this year of several different kinds of events and observances, we have made sure to keep Brown Act compliant with the sort of subcommittees of trustees that have been working on this. Made sure we have ongoing guidance from library management and administration, and that we're respecting the needs of the demands of the city's media specialists. We're also keeping an eye on the differing roles of official and unofficial messaging and outlets for information for city events. And of course, the direct contribution to those goals listed on the prior slides. Next slide, please. Just a reminder that as part of the Friends Foundation's fiscal year 22 grants, they did very generously provide us funds for these celebrations, and we had submitted new grants for fiscal year 23, and as you just heard, we've been kindly and generously granted funds again for this coming year. Next slide, please. And this is our kind of ongoing chart of components, sort of a flow chart of what's been happening from everything from the ceremony on the plaza back on February 28th to the movie in the park. And one of the more recent updates, a couple of them here, is that there is a new display on the main floor, and also the staff is a couple of steps closer to ordering the lanyards that they are going to be wearing in honor of the celebration, and also ordering them for a different version for the public as well, so that we're a couple steps closer to that. And I understand there may be some updates from the trustees as well, so I will turn it back over to you.
Updates?
Yes, finally, an update. So this is very exciting. And so this is the portion for the commemorative art. I have made contact with the Glendora High School art teacher. And so here are a few suggestions. She was just saying it's probably going to be challenging to do the art exhibit and have all the artwork done prior to January. So that's understandable. And so she was saying possibly in March. So we're going to meet about it and see if that works for the library. And this is what the art teacher at Glendora High School is talking about. So she was saying that they have Photoshop composites, tiles, different graphic artwork as opposed to oil. So St. Lucy's was talking about possibly doing oil painting on either wood or canvas. And that may be very interesting to have a variation of different types of art. And I'm going to try to arrange a meeting sometime with the Glendora High School teacher and try to get as well Charter Oak and St. Lucy's same time. So that sounded really exciting.
Thank you. I don't know if there's anyone else who, next slide, please. So as usual, for this item, we just recommend that we hear reports from various folks that have been working on these projects, continue discussion as needed, and if there is direction to be given to trustees, volunteers, and or staff, that we do that. Next slide, ask for questions. Happy to move forward however you choose.
Does anybody have any questions or comments? No? I think that's great. Hopefully we can see movement with that project. Okay. So do I have a motion?
No action that's required at this time.
No,
for
no
this
action?
item.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so now we're on to unfinished business. We don't have any, so we'll move on to new business. Agenda item number 7, consideration of library overdue fines. Cindy.
Good evening. Do I need to turn? No, it's on. So today we are here to talk about the agenda item, the consideration of library overdue fines. Just a quick summary of our agenda item. The city council adopts the master schedule for fees annually here in the city of Glendora. The Board of Library Trustees reviews and makes recommendations for all fees relating to the library. We can have the next slide, please. Staff has reviewed research relating to a recent and several years back trend in public libraries to start eliminating fines for overdue library materials. Fees charged for lost and damaged materials are not under consideration. Next slide, please. A little bit of our history. Beginning in November of 2019, the Board of Library Trustees began to review some of the research regarding this trend in libraries. In February 2021, so just about a year and a half ago, we brought this back to the Board of Library Trustees for further discussion. At that time, there was no overwhelming evidence that supported us changing our procedures at the time. We can have the next slide. So several of the things that have happened since then. So again, there are several different categories of fees that relate specifically to the use of library materials. So not the whole realm of everything in library world, but just the use of library materials. We have the overdue material, the extended use fees, special loan material, damaged items, damaged materials, things that come back that have taken a bath or, gone swimming at the beach, lost materials, things that never come back to us, and processing fees. Those are the fees that are charged for preparing items for the shelf. So if something is damaged or lost, we do charge our customers the costs that we would incur to process those materials to get them ready for the shelf once the new ones are purchased. So today we are really only looking at that first item, the overdue materials or the extended use fees. We've heard them called both, so just so that we're there. Next slide, please. So since 2021, the staff has reviewed the following in regards to discontinuing overdue fines for library materials. Regional public libraries overdue fines in comparison to our own. Studies and impacts of discontinuing the overdue fines. Staff costs in the collection of overdue fines. The collection availability and barriers to accessing materials and information. So we're going to break those down a little bit and talk about them. So the first one, next slide, please. The regional public libraries overdue fines. Most libraries, including Glendora, discontinued charging overdue fees during the building closures during COVID-19. Many libraries, once they reopened, did not return to charging those fees. We were one of the smaller few that did. The Southern California Library Consortium, Library Cooperative, recently did a study. That's the consortium that we do belong to, and Janet sits on the executive council for, administrative council for. Recently in the spring did a study of all the SCLC libraries. Those that responded, 82% of those libraries have discontinued library overdue fines or are in the process of discontinuing. Some of the comments that those libraries made were that this was very successful. It had been a goal of theirs for several years, and the temporary suspension of fines served as a catalyst for permanently discontinuing the fines. It was an overwhelmingly positive change. They bill for unreturned items still, And usually that bill prompts the return of items. So for people that are concerned because we're not charging fines, the items aren't going to come back. Some of the other libraries have found that once they bill for those items, it triggers the items return. One library said, we can't really comment because it's so new. So no comments from that library yet. So we are looking more and more at libraries that are discontinuing those fines. We can go on to the next slide. Studies show that the impact of discontinuing the overdue fines include things like erasing barriers to library use. People that have overdue fines feel like they can't come into the library, they can't use the library because they have those fines. And so then they just don't come in. So one of the benefits is to eliminate those barriers. Another is just to encourage greater library use. Some libraries have found a renewed sense of like joy and pride in their libraries once the fines have been discontinued, and encourage more library materials to be returned to the library. Sounds a little different, but because people aren't in fear of having to pay the fines once they bring those items back, some libraries find that actually the number of materials that get returned goes up. So we can go to the next slide. So we took a look at if we eliminated those fines, what that would mean on our staff costs. At our current transaction levels, we estimate that a minimum of 3 hours of staff time per week are taken up in charging overdue fines and taking those payments from our customers. So if we were to eliminate those fines, that would free up the staff to provide better customer service, to take a look at some of the strategic framework objectives that we have that Janet's been leading us through so that we can develop better programs and services for our community. Look at new partnerships for the Glendora community. So those 3 hours can then be routed towards different opportunities with our community. If we can go on to the next slide. One of the other things that we looked at was our collection availability. Is this really going to impact the ability for our customers to get the books that they want because other people may be keeping them out longer? Our average time to fill a request has gone down since fiscal year 1920. Many of the figures that you see, we use 1920 as a guide because that was our last full year pre-COVID. So it's hard, we can't compare the 2021 year because things were a little bit different that year. So that's why you see that year pop up throughout. So our average time to fill requests has gone down. So that's an improvement. Currently available, 90% of our collection is available for checkout. So most of our collection is available, it's on the shelves. Less than 3% of the collection is overdue. So really very few of our items are overdue. We can go on to the next one. We did take a look at the households that have blocked income or blocked accounts and compared those to the estimated income that would qualify for the City of Glendora Rental Assistance Program. The households have fallen about 6%. The number of households in that would qualify for that rental assistance that have blocked accounts has fallen by 6%. So really our barriers to accessing information have gone down already. That was a result of the board increasing the threshold, we believe, to checking out. It used to be if you had a fine of $2 on your account, you couldn't check out. Now it's $10 with when we went through this before. So we think that is why. So next slide, please. Our proposed changes are that we basically discontinue all of the overdue fees for library materials, as you can see there. Next slide. So if approved by the board, our next steps would be to include the amendment in the board's annual mid-year review of the library fines and fees. So that will come January or February. Submit recommendations from that review to the city council for inclusion in the master schedule of fees. And then if approved by council, implement beginning July 1st, 2023. The fiscal impact to these changes. Next slide, please, Serena. So the staff no longer needing to handle accounts for overdue materials would have opportunities to engage in enhanced customer service and seek out and implement improved ways for the community to access information. Our annual revenue would be reduced by the amount collected for overdue fines. For our most recent fiscal year, that was $12,000 to $13,000. So it doesn't amount to a huge amount that we're collecting. Existing charges for overdue fines on library materials would be waived, totaling approximately $55,000. That is accounts that are past due, basically, that have been carrying these fines for an unknown amount of time. Those fines would be waived. Next slide, please. So our recommendation is that the Board of Library Trustees, for inclusion in the Board of Library Trustees mid-year annual review of library fines and fees, and subsequent to submission to the City Council, approve the discontinuation of library fines starting July 1st, 2023, and forgiving existing past due balances for overdue fines. I would be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Stephen?
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Cindy, for a really robust and thorough report with great figures in it. I've got a question in regards to the 19% you mentioned with blocked accounts.
Mhm.
If this measure were to be approved by the trustees and later by the city council, do we reach out to those 19% to let them know their accounts are no longer blocked? And that
Well,
they're-
it would depend on why their accounts are blocked.
I see.
So the fines, the fees again that we're talking about are the overdue fees for library materials. So if they have fines because they've lost a book or processing charges, those would remain on their accounts. And we would be planning a marketing program with our digital media specialists to be able to let the community know of the change if it is approved.
Very good. Thank you, ma'am.
Mhm.
Anyone else have questions?
Thank you. I was just going to ask, was the library going to reach out and give people a heads up in the event it's eliminated? Every time I think of the overdue fines, I don't know if anybody else has watched Seinfeld, but there was Bookman. And then he spent this time tracking down, the people with the fines, and the fines were huge. So I could only imagine how people would feel with years of back fines. So, yeah.
I remember that episode. Makes me chuckle.
Anyone else have questions? No? I do have a few questions. I think this item is a big item. I know it's a trend and a lot of libraries are doing it, but I think it's good that you guys put together this very thorough report and did the research on how some libraries are seeing the effects of removing the fines. So I just wanted to clarify for the Southern California Library Cooperative. So these are libraries like in neighboring cities who have the same size, like same kind of demographic.
Some of them are. These are basically, actually, I'm going to let Janet, she knows more about LCLC than I do.
Sure, absolutely. So this is a consortium. It's actually more geographic than it is comparable by size. So this one includes approximately 40 public library jurisdictions throughout Los Angeles and some in Ventura County. And they vary actually from from smaller than Glendora up to Los Angeles County and Los Angeles City Public Library. So it runs the gamut.
Okay. I just want to make sure that we're verifying that the positive effects are also being seen in libraries in the same size that we have. Because I was doing some research on this, and for bigger libraries, of course, they've seen a lot of books being returned and their collection coming back. But then I also saw some stats online where some libraries have seen that books were taking longer to come back. And will that be a problem for us if they're taking longer? So if there's an item on hold and someone's waiting for it.
It is possible that could happen. Currently our overdue materials, most of them come back within a week, which wouldn't impact,
Okay,
wouldn't
that's
be a
good to know.
significant impact. I ran reports based on those that are a week overdue, those are 2 weeks that are overdue, 3 weeks, and then 4 weeks. And the majority of those do come back after 1 week or we don't see them,
I see.
which wouldn't be a change either way. There are many of the libraries within LCLC that are more comparable libraries like Arcadia that have gone fine-free and have seen positive impacts.
Perfect. And then can you define when an item becomes lost?
So an item becomes lost when it's 4 weeks, 28 days.
28 days. Okay. Got it. Or if someone just
Or if they come in
confesses.
and tell us that
They're
they
like,
lost the book.
It's
yes.
lost. Okay, got it. If you guys don't mind, I'm gonna go through my questions here that I have listed. And do we know of any cons to doing this?
None that came out in the research that I saw.
Okay. And then so if we pass this, then what would be the next steps for the future?
So the next step will be that you will see it again when we take the entire master schedule of fees, the library's portion back to you. January or February is when we usually target that. So we'll be looking, this will be appearing in that report again. And then if the board approves that, then it will go for consideration to city council in June. Master schedule?
Usually it's June, yes.
Yes.
Okay, so this would be enacted for June 2023.
July 1st, 2023 is when it would take effect. Yes.
Okay, so then you guys will start creating like a policy, like I'm sure there's other things that we have to think about to like put it written down after you present it to city council or before?
We'll have everything in place before it goes to city council.
Got it. Okay. I think that's all my questions. Yeah. Yeah,
that
Erica.
okay?
Yeah.
Sorry, I just thought of another question. How many attempts would there be to retrieve a lost item? Do you just
Can you
give
define
up?
attempts for me, please?
Like notifications like, hey, our fines have been removed, you know, in the event the fines are removed, hey, the fines have been removed. You still have attempt to, could you return the item or do you just drop it?
So any of our items right now, the notification schedule is 3 days before it's due. An email goes out letting people know your book is almost due, to try and allow people to bring it back on time. And then up to 3 notifications going out saying, hey, your book is overdue, bring it back. Hey, your book is still overdue, bring it back. Hey, your book is lost, here's your charges. And so with all of those notifications, one of the libraries did say that their notifications, especially with the 3 days before, was helpful to help, assisting patrons to bring it back on time.
Stephen?
Thank you, ma'am. One more question, just for clarification. I understand as presented, but just for the record, this is not a pilot program and there is no temporariness to this. This will be policy moving forward if approved by trustees and by city council, correct?
That is our recommendation, yes.
Thank you, ma'am. If so, then I would make a motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Sorry, okay, that is a motion by trustee Flowers, a second by Vice President Landman. I'll take a roll call vote. Trustee Flowers,
Aye.
thank you. Trustee Johnson,
Aye.
thank you. Vice President Landman,
Aye.
thank you. And President Chu,
Aye.
thank you. That passes 4-0.
On to board and staff closing comments. Do any trustees or staff have any questions or closing comments? Erica?
Yes. I just wanted to bring up in a couple weeks, there's going to be a Friends meeting that we're going to attend virtually. So that's it. So
Perfect. We look forward to hearing your guys' report on that next time. Stephen?
Thank you, Madam Chair. We will not meet again as a trustee board before November the 11th. I know there are veterans who live in our community and who patron our Glendora Public Library. And though the Glendora Library is not a veteran center, we are absolutely a fantastic resource for our nation's veterans. So I wish all of our veterans a happy Veterans Day, and I wish to thank them for their service.
Thank you for your service too.
Thank you.
All right, no other comments, then the meeting is adjourned at 7:46 PM.